10 Golden Age stars arrested for being complete jerks. These weren't just temperamental artists throwing tantrums on set. These were men whose behavior crossed from difficult to criminal, landing them in handcuffs and courtrooms. Real arrests, real charges, real mugshots. From bar brawls and domestic violence to far darker crimes that shocked the nation. Hollywood's golden age gave us unforgettable performances and legendary stars, but behind the glamorous facade, some of these actors revealed a darker side that no amount of studio PR could cover up. The arrests were real, the charges were serious, and the consequences reshaped their careers forever. Drop a comment and tell us which arrest shocked you most. Let's start with number 10. Number 10. Errol Flynn, swashbuckling star of The Adventures of Robin Hood, Hollywood's most famous ladies' man. Errol Flynn's on-screen charm masked a pattern of predatory behavior that exploded into public view in 1942. On October 1942, Flynn was arrested and charged with the statutory assault of two teenage girls, Betty Hansen, 17, and Peggy Satterley, 15. Both claimed he had attacked them at separate parties at his Mulholland Drive estate. The trial began in February 1943 and lasted 21 sensational days. Every newspaper in America covered it. Defense attorney Jerry Giesler systematically destroyed both girls' credibility, pointing to inconsistencies in their testimonies and suggesting they had fabricated the allegations for money. The jury acquitted Flynn on all charges, but the damage was done. The phrase "in like Flynn" emerged from the trial, initially referring to his legal escape, but later taking on a more celebratory meaning. His career survived, but his reputation never fully recovered. He spent his remaining years drinking heavily, his legendary good looks fading rapidly. Flynn died in 1959 at age 50 from a heart attack. The trial marked the beginning of the end for the studio system's ability to protect its stars from scandal. Number 9. Robert Mitchum, film noir icon known for his sleepy-eyed stare and world-weary characters. Robert Mitchum's bad boy image wasn't manufactured by studio publicists. It was earned through actual criminal behavior. On the night of August 31, 1948, police raided a small cottage in Laurel Canyon belonging to actress Leela Leeds. Inside, they found Mitchum, Leeds, dancer Vicki Evans, and real estate agent Robin Ford passing around marijuana cigarettes. All four were arrested on the spot. At the time, marijuana possession was a serious felony in California. The scandal dominated headlines for weeks. RKO Pictures, Mitchum's studio, seriously considered dropping him from his contract. Studio head Howard Hughes made a different calculation. He kept Mitchum on and sentenced him to 60 days in jail. Mitchum served 50 days on a prison honor farm, where he worked alongside other inmates and reportedly enjoyed the experience. When he was released in March 1949, RKO used the arrest as a publicity tool, marketing him as Hollywood's ultimate rebel. The gamble paid off. Mitchum's career not only survived but thrived. His box office appeal actually increased. Years later, evidence suggested the raid may have been a setup, with Leeds as the primary target and Mitchum caught in the crossfire. Mitchum died in 1997 at age 79 from lung cancer. His reputation as one of cinema's greatest anti-heroes secure. Number 8. Charles Chaplin, silent film legend, creator of the Little Tramp character, one of the most recognizable figures in cinema history. But by the 1940s, Charlie Chaplin's personal life had become as dramatic as any of his films. In 1943, aspiring actress Joan Barry, then 23 years old, claimed that Chaplin, 54, had fathered her child. The relationship had ended badly, and Barry was determined to make him pay. The FBI, under J. Edgar Hoover's direction, saw an opportunity to go after Chaplin, whose political views they had long found suspect. They investigated him under the Mann Act, which prohibited transporting women across state lines for immoral purposes. Chaplin was indicted on 4 counts, including 2 Mann Act violations. The trial began in March 1944. After weeks of testimony, the jury acquitted him of all federal charges in April. But the ordeal wasn't over. Barry's paternity suit proceeded separately. Blood tests definitively proved Chaplin was not the father. However, California law at the time did not allow blood test evidence in paternity cases. The judge ordered Chaplin to pay child support until the girl turned 21, which he did. The FBI's investigation of Chaplin eventually produced a file over 2,000 pages long. The persecution, combined with his increasingly leftist political statements, contributed to his decision to leave America permanently. In 1952, while traveling to Europe, the U.S. government revoked his re-entry permit. Chaplin died in 1977 at age 88 in Switzerland, having spent his final decades in self-imposed exile from the country that had made him a star. Number 7. Lana Turner, glamorous star of The Postman Always Rings Twice. Hollywood's ultimate bombshell with platinum blonde hair and a string of tumultuous relationships. But nothing prepared the public for the violent tragedy that unfolded on Good Friday, April 4, 1958. Johnny Stompanato, a former Marine and bodyguard for mobster Mickey Cohen, had been in a relationship with Turner for over a year. It was violently abusive from the start. Stompanato had a vicious temper and regularly threatened Turner, particularly when she tried to end the relationship. That evening at Turner's Beverly Hills home, neighbors heard screaming. Stompanato was threatening to cut up Turner's face with a razor and end her career. He said he would harm her daughter and her mother. Turner's 14-year-old daughter, Cheryl Crane, heard the screaming from her bedroom. She ran to the kitchen, grabbed an 8-inch kitchen knife, and rushed to her mother's bedroom. She opened the door and saw Stompanato with his arms raised, advancing on her mother. Cheryl drove the knife into his abdomen. The single thrust pierced his kidney and aorta. He collapsed and died within minutes. The subsequent coroner's inquest was a media circus. Turner testified, describing months of abuse and threats. The jury ruled it justifiable homicide. Cheryl was briefly sent to a reform school but released after a few months. Mickey Cohen attempted to profit from the tragedy by releasing intimate letters Turner had written to Stompanato, further humiliating her. Turner died in 1995 at age 74 from throat cancer. Cheryl Crane is still alive today. The incident overshadowed Turner's considerable talent, but her fierce protection of her daughter revealed a strength that transcended her glamorous image. Number 6. Frances Farmer, talented, intelligent actress from Come and Get It, known for her striking beauty and rebellious spirit. Frances Farmer refused to play by Hollywood's rules, and the industry destroyed her for it. On October 19, 1942, Farmer was arrested for drunk driving in Santa Monica. When ordered to appear in court, she showed up with a dirty face and defiant attitude, openly mocking the judge. It was a catastrophic miscalculation. She violated her probation, leading to another arrest in January 1943. This time, she fought back physically, biting a police officer and screaming obscenities. The judge had seen enough. He committed her to a psychiatric facility. What followed was a nightmare that lasted years. Farmer spent the better part of 1944 to 1950 in Washington state mental institutions. She was subjected to brutal treatments common at the time, including insulin shock therapy, which induced seizures and temporary comas. Persistent rumors claimed she received a transorbital lobotomy, the infamous ice pick procedure that destroyed patients' frontal lobes. While never definitively proven, the deterioration in her behavior and personality after institutionalization was dramatic. Her mother, Lillian Farmer, had her committed multiple times, viewing her daughter's rebellious nature as mental illness requiring correction. The institutions were understaffed, underfunded, and horrifically abusive. Farmer was released in 1950 and attempted a comeback, but the spark that had made her special was gone. Frances Farmer died in 1970 at age 56 from esophageal cancer. Her story represents Hollywood's dark treatment of difficult women and the primitive, brutal approach to mental health in the 1940s. Number 5. Roscoe Fatty Arbuckle, silent film comedy star, second only to Charlie Chaplin in popularity by 1921. Roscoe Fatty Arbuckle's career was destroyed overnight by accusations that would prove to be entirely false, but the damage was permanent. On September 5, 1921, Arbuckle threw a party at the St. Francis Hotel in San Francisco. It was Labor Day weekend, and the party was wild even by Hollywood standards. Actress Virginia Rappe, 26 years old, became violently ill during the party. She died 4 days later from peritonitis, an infection of the abdominal lining. Maud Delmont, another party guest, immediately accused Arbuckle of assaulting Rappe with a broken piece of ice or a bottle, causing internal injuries that led to her death. Arbuckle was arrested for manslaughter. The charges were quickly upgraded to first-degree slaying. The media went insane. Yellow journalism painted Arbuckle as a monster. Newspapers published lurid, fabricated details. His films were pulled from distribution. He was convicted in the court of public opinion before his trial even began. There were 3 trials. The first ended with a hung jury, 11-1 for acquittal. The second also ended in a hung jury, 10-2 for acquittal. The third trial, in April 1922, took the jury just 6 minutes to acquit him. They even issued a formal written apology, stating that a great injustice had been done to him. Medical evidence showed Rapa had chronic cystitis and a likely ruptured bladder from a pre-existing condition. Maud Delmont, the key witness, was a known con artist with an extensive criminal record. She never testified because prosecutors knew her credibility was non-existent. Despite complete acquittal, Arbuckle's career was finished. Will Hayes banned him from acting under Hollywood's new morality clause. He worked as a director under a pseudonym, struggling financially for the rest of his life. He died in 1933 at age 46 from a heart attack, just one day after finally signing a new acting contract. The Arbuckle case was Hollywood's first major scandal and directly led to the creation of the production code that would govern American cinema for decades. Number 4. Paul Kelly, stage and film actor, Broadway veteran who transitioned successfully to Hollywood. Paul Kelly's career should have ended in 1927 when he beat his best friend to death. Instead, it proved that Hollywood would forgive almost anything if you remained valuable. Kelly was having an affair with actress Dorothy Mackay, who was married to actor Ray Raymond, Kelly's close friend. On April 16, 1927, Raymond confronted Kelly at Mackay's home about the affair. What happened next was brutal and unforgivable. Kelly beat Raymond so severely that he died from his injuries. Raymond suffered a crushed skull and multiple broken bones. He never regained consciousness in the hospital. Kelly was initially charged with taking a life. After negotiations, the charge was reduced to manslaughter. He pleaded guilty and was sentenced to 1 to 10 years at San Quentin State Prison. Mackay was also imprisoned as an accessory, serving 10 months. The violence was premeditated and vicious, yet Kelly served only 25 months before being released in 1929. Shortly after his release, Kelly married Mackay. They remained married until her passing in 1940. What's most remarkable is that his career recovered. He returned to Broadway and Hollywood, appearing in over 100 films after his release from prison. Studios were willing to overlook the fact that he had ended a man's life because he was talented and profitable. Kelly worked steadily through the 1930s and 1940s, playing everything from leading men to character roles. His violence was forgiven, forgotten, or simply ignored by an industry that valued box office appeal over moral accountability. Paul Kelly died in 1956 at age 57 from a heart attack, his crime a footnote in his lengthy career. Number 3. John Barrymore. By the mid-1930s, John Barrymore's chronic alcoholism and erratic behavior had turned one of America's greatest actors into a public spectacle and repeat criminal offender. Barrymore's arrests for public intoxication and disorderly conduct became routine throughout the 1930s. In May 1935, he was arrested in Los Angeles after being found passed out in a neighbor's yard. He couldn't remember how he got there. In 1936, he was arrested again for drunk driving and reckless endangerment after crashing his car into a lamppost. Police found him barely conscious behind the wheel, but the arrests were just the visible symptoms of a much darker pattern. Multiple incidents involved Barrymore exposing himself in public while intoxicated. He was repeatedly committed to sanitariums for alcoholism treatment, only to relapse immediately upon release. In 1937, allegations surfaced of an assault involving a teenage girl. The charges were dropped after a financial settlement, but the pattern was unmistakable. By the late 1930s, Barrymore was reduced to a parody of himself. He appeared in B-movies that exploited his decline. Fellow actors reported he couldn't remember lines and needed cue cards for single sentences. His final films show visible deterioration, his once commanding presence reduced to a shell. He would drink anything when desperate, including rubbing alcohol and bay rum cologne. The waste was staggering. Barrymore had been considered perhaps the greatest actor of his generation, capable of Shakespeare and contemporary drama with equal brilliance. Alcoholism destroyed it all. John Barrymore died in 1942 at age 60 from cirrhosis of the liver and kidney failure, his immense talent squandered in a haze of alcohol and self-destruction. Number 2. Ramon Novarro. Silent film star, MGM's answer to Rudolph Valentino, the lead in the epic 1925 version of Ben-Hur. Ramon Novarro's story is unique on this list because he wasn't the criminal. He was the victim of one of Hollywood's most brutal and senseless crimes. But his arrest record before his tragic end reveals the persecution gay actors faced in Hollywood's golden age. Throughout the 1930s and 1940s, Novarro was arrested several times for lewd conduct. Homosexual activity was illegal, and police regularly conducted sting operations in public restrooms and parks. Navarro was targeted repeatedly, forced to pay fines and endure public humiliation. Each arrest was another threat to his career, another moment of terror that his secret would destroy him. By the 1960s, Navarro was largely retired, living quietly in his Hollywood Hills home. On the night of October 30, 1968, two brothers, Paul Ferguson, 22, and Tom Ferguson, 17, came to his house. They had heard a rumor that Navarro kept $5,000 hidden somewhere in his home. The rumor was false. What followed was hours of torture. The brothers beat Navarro with his own cane, trying to force him to reveal where the money was hidden. When he couldn't tell them what didn't exist, they burned him with cigarettes. They choked him. They force-fed him food. Eventually, they asphyxiated him, causing his death through blunt force trauma and suffocation. He was 69 years old. The brothers were caught quickly. Paul's girlfriend turned them in after he confessed. Both were convicted of first-degree taking of life and sentenced to life in prison. They were eventually paroled years later. Ramon Navarro's ending exposed two brutal realities: Hollywood's systematic persecution of gay actors and the vulnerability of aging stars forgotten by the industry that once celebrated them. Number 1. William Desmond Taylor, prominent silent film director, president of the Motion Picture Directors Association. A respected figure in early Hollywood, William Desmond Taylor's unsolved slaying in 1922 remains the most famous cold case in Hollywood history, revealing a secret life and spawning conspiracy theories that persist over a century later. On the morning of February 1, 1922, Taylor's servant Henry Peavy arrived at Taylor's bungalow at 404 South Alvarado Street and found his employer dead on the floor. Taylor had been shot once in the back with a .38 caliber revolver. The bullet passed through his heart, ending his life instantly. The scene was immediately contaminated. Neighbors entered. Studio executives from Paramount arrived and began removing potentially embarrassing evidence before police were even called. The investigation revealed that William Desmond Taylor wasn't his real name. He was born William Cunningham Dean Tanner in Ireland. In 1908, he had abandoned his wife and daughter in New York, changed his identity, and reinvented himself in Hollywood. His brother, Denny, had also disappeared years earlier. Investigators discovered Denny had been living in Los Angeles the entire time, working as Taylor's butler under a fake name. Taylor had been romantically involved with two actresses, Mary Miles Minter, who was 19, and Mabel Normand, 28. Both women had visited him on the night he was taken from this world. Love letters from Minter were found in Taylor's home, revealing an obsessive infatuation. The scandal destroyed her career. She was still a teenager. Minter's mother, Charlotte Shelby, had threatened Taylor multiple times, warning him to stay away from her daughter. Shelby owned a .38 caliber revolver, the same type used in the slaying. She had the motive, the means, and the opportunity. Many investigators believed she was the one who ended Taylor's life, but she was never charged. The case took another dark turn when Henry Peavy was arrested during the investigation for lewd vagrancy, a charge used to prosecute gay men. His arrest revealed that Taylor had connections to Los Angeles's underground gay community, adding another layer of scandal and potential motive. There was also a drug connection. Taylor had been working with federal agents to expose Hollywood's drug trade. He had supplied names of dealers just days before his passing. Some investigators believe drug dealers silenced him before he could testify. The case had multiple suspects and multiple motives. No one was ever charged. The case files were sealed for decades. Recent analysis of evidence suggests Charlotte Shelby remains the most likely suspect, having acted to protect her daughter from what she saw as predatory behavior. But alternative theories about drug dealers, jealous lovers, or blackmail victims have never been definitively ruled out. William Desmond Taylor's demise at age 49, actual age 50 because he had lied about his birth year, destroyed the careers of everyone connected to him. It led to increased Hollywood censorship and helped establish the morality clauses that would govern the industry for decades. The case remains officially unsolved, representing everything dark and corrupt about early Hollywood: hidden identities, secret relationships, studio cover-ups, and a system more interested in protecting its interests than finding justice. So there you have it, 10 Golden Age stars whose arrests revealed the darkness behind Hollywood's glamorous facade. These weren't isolated incidents of bad behavior. They represented a pattern of violence, abuse, and criminal conduct that studios worked overtime to conceal. From substance abuse and domestic violence to unsolved cases and systemic persecution, these stories stripped away the illusion and showed the brutal reality beneath the silver screen. The studio system protected its stars when it could, but when the crimes were too public or too severe, even Hollywood's most powerful couldn't stop justice. Which case shocked you most? Did any of these arrests surprise you? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if you found this deep dive into Hollywood's criminal history fascinating, don't forget to like and subscribe for more untold stories from cinema's golden age. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.